Okay, welcome everybody. It's July 7th, 2025. I'm Jason Donaldson, and I'm here to help you remember. Today's a big day. If you follow Western astrology, Uranus moves into Gemini, and I'm not an astrologer and I don't dive too deep into it, but I'm seeing more and more of the astrology is so helpful as like watching the weather used to be, watch people would tune into the news just for the weather a lot of times. And I don't even watch the weather and I try not to watch the news because it's so seductive and exciting and torturous and scary that I'll do it from time to time just to get a finger on the pulse of things and then work with whatever it brings up inside of me. But often there's so much of that going on now without needing any kind of external trigger that I'm just generally avoiding it. And with astrology, I like because whether it's Western that's saying it Uranus is moving into Gemini, and Sidereal would say something else, but there's enough people that believe and embrace the Western model that it has an influence regardless. And if you just look at the transit of the planets and their alignment is going to be a very clear indication of some of the energies that may play out. But always remembering that these are subtle influences, just like the weather. Like you are still who you are when you go out in the rain versus a beautiful sunny day. The rain, it may be a little harder to find that good vibe and be excited about going hiking, but it's really the same. It's just the influence. So one should never put too much faith in the planets, a clinical diagnosis you've been given, a term for a word, like what spiritual means and how spiritual should look. And that's a lot of the theme that's coming through for me more and more lately is spirituality and this journey of awakening and how we'll awaken and we'll have all these insights and epiphanies and it's beautiful and it's amazing and the world's going to change and everything becomes beautiful because it is. And then at some point, like that wears off a little bit. And then we have to come back into from not just the being into the doing again and interacting with the world and trying to hold that energy or maintain the energy of who we truly are beyond this illusion and this level of density that we're in. And so I discovered a long time ago, I experienced enlightenment and actually wasn't that hard. I just had to keep meditating and surrendering everything and just tuning into the divine and allowing that to flow in. And I realized it was actually in me and I was all things. And then I had to get up and go about my life and it disappeared. It was gone. And my practice ever since then was like keep going back to that. It would come back from time to time and at higher levels, different colors, different experiences, but always it was like my mind would kick in and I'd start ruminating or I'd start distracting. So in our lineage and our genetics, there's these patterns of behavior that play out that actually gets marked into our DNA. And this has been proven in with epigenetics. When I was in college in around 2010, 2012, I would talk to my professors about certain things and they'd call it anecdotal. And then now it's all considered more established theory. Same with the quantum physics, which is revealing so much of the nature of reality that we're in versus Plutonian physics, where everything's solid, everything's fixed. The universe is a machine that we're just like a cog in the wheel, but more and more we're realizing we are the whole of everything. And the more that we come into that knowing and that awareness, the more we can transform and change everything, and yet we're still in it. So this is the idea why I was talking about the enlightenment, like having the enlightenment experience and then always coming back to that feeling, to that remembering of it. And even with things that we're like told we are, we can always come back to the place before that was created, to the entirety of all things. So for me, as an example, is I've had a lot of things happen recently, and for the flow of this call, just before I go any further, I'll let you all know that I'm going to share a little bit of what I've personally been experiencing with the energies, and then I'll tune into the collective energies and share that with everybody. And I'll pull some tarot cards to see what they reveal. Then we'll do a guided meditation, and then afterwards, anybody that's on the call live, I'll pause the recording and we can share whatever came through or any support that we want from the group or how things are transforming in their lives. And at any point, feel free to drop something in the comments if you have anything that comes up for you. If you have a question or something about what I'm talking about, I'm happy to dive a little deeper. So with all that being said, I had to put my dog to sleep. I helped her transition on the solstice, and I knew this was coming for a while. She was 15, and she's very strong-willed. And I connected with some animal communicators, and I tuned into her myself. And she didn't really want to go, even though her hips were bad and she was having a hard time moving. She still kept doing it. She was eating fine. She had her routine. She was just struggling a bit, and then it came to the point where the body just wasn't working anymore. Like she couldn't really walk, couldn't go to the bathroom. And for a dog, that's, difficult. And still her spirit was so strong. Her will to live was so strong. And I could see it in her eyes. I could see the confusion of what is wrong? Why is my body not working? And from a dog's consciousness, they don't have that higher understanding, or maybe just the being that she was, the soul that she was, didn't fully understand it in that moment, what was happening. And she almost passed at one point too. When I was with her that morning before I took her to the vet, she started breathing really hard and she just checked out like nothing. And then all of a sudden she took a big breath and she came back, and she was just had such a strong will. And then when I took her into the vet, which she didn't like at all, and I'd prefer to have done it at home, but that's not an option where I live. They sedated her first, and I was looking right in her eyes. And as I was looking in her eyes, I saw all that pain disappear, like when she wasn't feeling her body and all that pain. And then her eyes lit up, and I saw that beautiful love she always had in her eyes. And so many people loved her because of that. She just lovingly look at you all the time and just want you to keep petting her. And I saw the realization in her eyes too, like, oh, that I get it. Like that, it was like, I can't even describe it. And it didn't even come to me fully until like a couple days later when I was meditating and I saw it play out again, just how she understood and she was ready to go. And then she went very peacefully. It was beautiful. And it really was challenging, because I know from a spiritual perspective that being is still alive. She's still with me. She still exists. But then the human part is like, oh man, I miss her, and she's not there when I walk by. And my niece that was there was having a hard time with the whole situation too. So we had to talk to her and work with her on it. But that was one thing that came up. And the other thing was, I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this, but I will. It hasn't officially been given to me yet, but I went and got tested for ADHD. And as I suspected, I have it basically. I've got the official results, but they showed me the scores, and like this below average and executive function, memory, and attention. And it really helped me dive deeper in understanding of what I suspected I always had. And a lot of the kids I worked with in the schools had ADHD. And what a lot of that is, we could say, oh, it's ADHD and it's this thing that I got to overcome and try to navigate. But really all it is a coping mechanism from trauma. So when we have trauma, when we've been abused, we leave our body, we distract. When we're in situations that we have no control over, we try to check out. And basically a lot of the whole world is doing this by hyper focusing on work, on using alcohol, on using substances, using plant medicine continuously, like anything to distract. Even our own negative thinking is one of the biggest addictions we all have. And that's what's perpetuating so much here on the planet. And what this shift and transformation that's coming in is with this Gemini energy. Gemini is always felt like bipolar, kind of like this back and forth twin. Oh, would you mind muting, Jacqueline? Thanks for the laugh, but not to knock anybody that has Gemini in their chart, but it's and bipolar is same with ADHD, a highly creative person. ADHD is like a spiral mind, all these things you can pull in and focus into one point and becomes hyper focused. Like bipolar is somebody that's like very creative and they'll drop down into kind of a depressed state. And just before a massive creational potential and all this creation that happens, it's just a matter of finding balance and how to navigate that. And that's what I work with people with tuning into the spirit, tuning into the perfect place that you are, the perfect being that you are inside, that's navigating all this from that perspective, from the galactic perspective. everything can change and transform. So as I was saying all that, I got a little off track, so I'm just going to tune back in. The labels, the ideas, the notions of who we are and what a thing is really the big theme. And like my dog, there were so many options with that, and there were so many judgments I had about it, and then it played out the way it did, and then it was a matter of being with it and accepting it, or holding on to it and keeping it frozen. And this is what's coming up for us. Like a couple days later, I meditated and I unfroze an aspect of me that was still struggling with her pain and seeing her suffering. And I had to go and really sit with what that was all about and if I did the right thing. And I had a clearing with that. And with the ADHD thing, there was a point where when she first showed me those results, I was like, oh God, no wonder it's been so hard for me. No wonder I've had to like visualize and use memorization tricks and write lists and organize and structure, and how like frustrated I get and beat myself up for a whole lifetime. Like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why is it so hard for me? And I just continually beat myself up until, last 10 years, 5 years, year. And a lot of us have done that with things, or we took on messages as children. And that's what a lot of what's coming up. This is a long explanation for what's happening on the planet, is like all those times where we were frustrated and we beat ourselves up, all the times where something happened to us and we stayed like frozen in time, focused on that. It's coming up now in the form of emotion, in the form of external circumstances. Because some people can look at what's happening in the world and get upset, and some people can look at what's happening at the world and really, really get upset and really go into a place of fear. And that's because it pushes on these parts of us that are ready to be integrated and dissolved into wholeness and love. And that's what I was really working with this week. And what was really helping the most is the breath. And that's what I was guided to in around 2020. More and more I was seeing everyone was wearing masks, and I was just realizing how powerful it was to like breathe and start doing breath work more and more, and how much that elevated my consciousness and shifted my energy and the connection with the breath and the heart. But I was still doing my other things. And then somebody approached me with leading breathwork ceremonies and sound healing events. And I was like, I don't know anything about breathwork. I just do it myself. But I did it, and I started doing these ceremonies every week, for sometimes twice a week, for like 2 years, 2.5 years. And many of you have been to these events. And it changed everything. And it kept revealing more and more on this journey. And even now, or like 2 years ago, I was really struggling, and I called in. I went like a healer. I went like a for real healer. And when he came into my life and I worked with him for a while, his whole thing was the breath. He's amazing at all the other techniques and things, but it was always the basics was this breath. And I wrote about it in my newsletter, the 5-5 breath. It's basically just a balanced breath. And then what's come out in James Nestor's book, that was out years ago, and people told me to read it and I never did, was this rhythm of 5.5 seconds, like 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out. So basically it's a count of 5, because as you're shifting immediately into that other breath, you're still kind of breathing. So you don't have to get too in your head about it. But that deep, slow inhale and exhale continuously helps like bring energy to those parts that are hurting or frozen in time or upset, and shifts the energy, brings the love and attention in that moment, rather than beating ourselves up like, oh, why do I always do this? Why does this always happen to me? What's wrong with me? And for me, that still comes up because I did it for so long. It's like a groove in the mind. Like we all have these grooves in our mind that we fall into unless we're meditating or breathing or working with awareness. And then we can kind of jump out of it a little and fall in it and jump out of it a little. And pretty soon you get better and better at like not falling into it and watching and witnessing it. And pretty soon you move more and more away from it. And that's been my whole journey, because in my 20s, I didn't have any tools. I was psychic and I saw stuff and I knew things I couldn't explain to people. They all thought I was crazy. And so I just tried to blend in and play the game like everyone else and play out the distortions, and used drinking and drugs to try to cope with things all the time. I was still working a job and doing my thing, but it was I was either working or drinking. And if I wasn't doing that, I was distracting with watching movies all the time. And that's that ADHD thing. And with that pattern of trauma, wanting to distract, there's also the ability to be hyper focused and fixate on things. And this is also a problem because it pulls us out of our own body and makes it about the external. So I think some of the meditation is going to be about that today. Thanks for sitting through that, what's been up for me. And let me just tune in to the collective energy. And so I don't really channel. I mean, I can channel beings and things, but typically I just try to channel what my higher self's saying, like a conscious channel. I'm going to see what wants to come through that would be most beneficial for everyone on this call and everyone that's listening later. So saying, in a time of transformation and change, things aren't always as they appear. Things will disappear. Things will reappear. And they're showing like always you are at the center of it all. And they're showing like people's energy as being kind of dark, and dark's not bad, but like not fully connected to the light, which is the revealing and the awareness. So it's like a lot of the lights outside of everyone. It's like having a flashlight that we're shining in a room, trying to figure out where we are. And everything we look at isn't us. And so it's the invitation to like shine that light inside. And I've said this many times before, but they're showing like just that simple analogy that when you're in shadow, when you're in darkness, you simply change your focus. You turn inside. And so whatever that light was shining on is going to elicit a reaction in you, whether it's good, bad, happy, sad, whatever. And the one person I follow that I like, and a couple others say this too, is there's only 3 emotions. It's fear, anger, and sadness. And of course there's love, but that's the energy of what we always are. And so if we can identify those 3 different energies, it's one of those 3. The rest is just like a story and elaborate groove in the mind that we've created. So what I'm seeing is it's really the invitation that to shine the light on ourselves, to be that light, and then come into the loving presence to work with whatever it shines out on when we're not present. So we can shine it on ourselves. We'll do this in meditation. We'll do this in breath work. And then inevitably that light will go back out into the reality because we haven't fully embodied and shifted. And then something will really trigger us to come back into the body. So it's this constant like coming back to the actual body is what I'm feeling, the physical body. Like, where is the sensation? Where's the pain? Where is maybe a color or something going on in the body? And then that's going to remind you, oh, that was that injury I had when, I fell off the ladder or whatever. But it's like, well, is that actually why I fell off the ladder? And to go back and just be with that and love and accept what's there, to reveal why it actually happened beyond the ladder incident. Like, what was the energy that was in play to bring that much attention to your knee, that much attention to your body? And so as we're doing that now, that's what is going to shift us into the new earth, is every time something is leading us to pain or discomfort in the body, that's the opportunity to be and lovingly acknowledge it and let the mind do what it does. If it falls into a groove, no big deal, just breathe but focus on that body and allow the emotion to pass through. I did this the other day, and something happened. I was working on my motorcycle, got the wrong part, got upset, basically called myself an idiot, started to get into like more and more anger. And in my past, in my 20s, I would have thrown something, acted like the typical angry male that didn't get what he wanted. And I paused and I just breathed, and I felt that sadness come up, and I felt those tears. And I just went off somewhere and I sat down, and I felt the need to plan. Okay, I cut off the tears and I started planning, like, what do I need to do to accomplish this? And I was like, wait, come back to the feeling, just feel and breathe. And I didn't like that either, because there's this vulnerability and this sadness that doesn't feel good. But as I was there, I felt like this child part of me that was told I was an idiot and I can't do anything right. And I just felt that, and I released it. And right as I did, I heard this hawk start cawing. Like this hawk started making noise in this tree, like a lot. And I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And this is how we shift reality externally. And that's what basically they were showing me, is we have this flashlight of consciousness that we focus on things. And a lot of us are using that like ADHD to like, oh, I want to focus on this. Like it's just all over the place. And then it's like, oh, this thing. And like, oh, I feel calmer now. I feel calmer. This thing is what is helping me. And all of a sudden that thing's gone. It's like, oh my God, now what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? But always it's like to come back to the center. Let me see what else wants to come through. So some are wanting to know the details of what's going on the planet. And what's coming through with that is there are stargates in certain parts of the world, certain parts of the planet. You could even think of them like chakras of the planet. And they've been kept in upheaval and instability for a long time. And more, this is starting to shift. This is starting to change. And there's this effort to try to keep it in place. Things aren't working the way people that like to control things want them to. And some will succumb to this fear and manipulation, and others will realize, like I was saying, that it's actually an opportunity and is the ascension. So even to like get upset with those people is really not understanding the galactic perspective. Like, it's not that we condone it or want to support it, but it's like, oh, that they're playing a role for me to feel what I feel. And why other people aren't feeling it or don't agree with me is irrelevant, but it's for me, and to try to get others to agree with me is part of the distraction too. So that's what's coming through for that. And I'll pull a couple cards. If there's any comments, just go ahead and drop them in the chat. Any questions? Pull 3 cards on that same question. Important for us to know in this moment, ongoing. I got the Queen of Swords, and I really love this card. It's the Queen of Swords. She's very clear and decisive, and she's like the leader that sees everything and is able to speak it into voice. Like, this would be someone that would you would want in your community. Like, when everyone else is kind of going along with the fear or the illusion or the like the Emperor's New Clothes kind of vibe, like, oh, this is great. And wasn't this person would come and say, well, what about this? Like, there's something, like, they would just cut straight to the point and speak a truth that would help people see more clearly what's going on, rather than getting caught up in the emotional component of things. Like, there's a time where the mind is very important. The intellect is super important, especially in spirituality. I don't know if you follow the Aubrey Marcus thing. I don't really follow it, but I can't help but hear about it. And I don't know if that's true or not. Like that ISIS came to him and told him that he should have the sacred union with three people, and that's their journey. Who knows? But I know from receiving downloads and messages, and I don't do much plant medicine, but when I have, I receive stuff too. But I always got to be willing to let it go because I've seen so many times that it's not true. I had things I believed so firmly, and it was not from lack of faith in any way, and it didn't happen. And so this is where it's important to have, and I see this as common sense. Like what's the common sense with this? What's the Occam's razor? The simplest explanation is usually the case. And this has been maybe abused in the scientific community a little bit too much, where they'll just dismiss things out of hand if they don't have any evidence for it, and then forget that it existed and not roll it in as an actual variable. But there's a reason why that's a big thing. The Occam's razor, I think there's another term for it, where the simplest explanation is often the one that is real. And this will help us navigate everything right now with what's happening in the world, is to like come back to like, well, what is like common sense in this situation in my own life or what I'm seeing around me. And then I got the Page of Swords. And so this is kind of like the opposite, and getting our kind of head in the clouds, learning and studying something, but not fully understanding it yet and wanting to run out and teach the world. So this is like when somebody has an experience and they're still really in that experience, but they're like, I'm going to go out and help everybody with this, or I'm going to go teach yoga when I've only done like, a year worth of classes. And this is why I don't teach Tai Chi. I mean, or Qigong is, I studied it for 2.5 years, and I was dedicated. I went like 3 or 4 times a week, like 3, sometimes 5 hours. Our teacher was awesome. And, but I wouldn't teach it because some people say it takes a lifetime. I mean, there's so much to it. And this is why in the West, a lot of yoga is contortionism. It's getting better now, but they forgot it was really about meditation. It was about strengthening the body so that you could meditate longer. And that was actually the yoga, to become yoked with the divine, to have the strength of the body to sit in those prolonged positions. And a lot of people do both, but at first the yoga turned into like athleticism. And I'm going to Phoenix next month, and my friend goes to this really cool gym where they do red light therapy, and they have TENS body machines that like shocks your whole body. So you get this while you're working out, so you get this amazing workout, and it's helped her lose a lot of weight. And she was saying, hey, they want you to come to a breathwork event there. And I'm like, maybe, but like, it's not exercise what I do. It's like a ceremony, and it's using the breath to help people connect to their spirit and get downloads and messages and beings come through, ancestors, whatever, because we create that field and invite them in, the divine beings of love. So I don't know how I'm going to do that. Well, if I do that. And so the final card is the Ace of Cups, which is, I always saw this as like this beautiful energy being offered, like this thing, this place from the heart. And you see this in the Knight of Cups, like he's got the cup out in front and he's moving towards something that he truly desires and loves. And with the Ace of Cups is like something's being offered to you that you truly desire and love, but whether or not you see it is up to you. And that's what I've been feeling personally too, is like, I know there's some kind of change. I can feel I need to make a change. I need to do something different. So I, just to try to embrace that a little, I changed my background. I'm not wearing my ankh anymore. It just wasn't resonating anymore. And when I meditated, it felt like uncomfortable on me. So I was like, oh, well, as much as I love it, as much it was like almost branding for me, it's like letting it go and welcoming what's coming next. So I really see that as a positive, is that when we can rely on reclaiming our mind with common sense, with clear thinking, and to speak the wow, I almost said divisively, but decidedly, like, this is what I know to be true, and leaving it at that, and not trying to convince anybody or teach them something that you're just working with yourself, something that you're embodying and playing with, rather than I need all these other people to believe this. And this is what a lot of religions did, is it was part of their kuleana, their I can't think of the English word now, like their responsibility to go out and, share this word, share the gospel, share whatever it is. And that helps a lot of people, and it also hurt a lot of people. But it's like this idea of wanting to rally everyone to our cause so that we feel safe in being who we are and speaking our truth. Whereas she doesn't need that. She's the queen. I mean, she's got shit handled, and she's going to speak decisively and not from a place of anger or emotions. And then as we do that, I really see this opportunity for something to come from within, like I was talking about with that flashlight, when we turn that light within and really connecting with the heart and all the layers of things that are there. When I first started doing like heart healing work in like 2008 or whatever, and really tuning into my heart, there was like a shell and a casing, and I didn't want to do it. And every time I went to that place, I just felt sad and angry, and it was like, keep coming back there, keep coming back there. And I did it in different ways back then, like catharsis and stuff like that. But it was like eventually the true essence of that flower blooms, that true being that's encased with all the clay and mud starts to crack and break open, and then reveals this beautiful radiant energy. So, and now move into the guided meditation. That was a lot longer than usual. My apologies if you were waiting just for the guided meditation. So if you feel comfortable, if not, you want to lay down, feel free to do that. You want to have your spine straight if you're sitting up. Stretch your arms out a little, take that deep breath to help straighten, lengthen the spine. So the ha. Bring in another breath in through the nose. Release out through the mouth. And that spine strengthen, feeling that rooted, grounded presence through the tailbone or through your feet if they're on the ground. You're laying down, just feel the embrace of gravity and the embrace of earth holding you in place, inviting you to just let go of any tension in the body, go of any concerns about time, things to do, what happened, what will happen. Coming back to that breath, breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathe in through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay with that rhythm, feeling that full inhale. Noticing maybe some areas feel a little tight or restricted. And this is good. That's where we're bringing life force energy. We're bringing consciousness. We're bringing blood. We're bringing all kinds of amazingness to those areas. And as we do this, sometimes some emotion may come up. For as we shine that spotlight with this breath, is exactly what we're doing, is we're bringing that energy within. We're pulling all our attention away from the external and into the internal. And that's what these physical sensations are with the body, inviting you to come back to the body. This part is like, oh no, this doesn't feel good. Same with the emotion. Oh, I don't like this. And then just remember, oh yeah, breathe. Feel that inhale into the nose, expanding. You do either out through the mouth or out through the nose, and play with the different change that creates. Like I like it out through the mouth when there's emotion, when there's a lot, seemingly a lot, but it's really just emotion. And it helps release and relax the body. And other times when releasing out through the nose, it helps work with the digestive system. It helps work with any issues around the gut or the stomach to help move and really like shift what's there. We get to feel a little, it feels a little bit more like there's pressure, but as you stay with it, you're going to feel like slight shifts. So again, come to the breath. Some of you are drifting off a little bit, and that's okay, because that's what we've been trained to do. We're trained to do that in school because, my God, there were some days it was fun and interesting, and there was a lot of time where we were just like, I got to sit here, and as long as I don't say anything, and as long as I don't bounce around too much, I'm not going to get yelled at. I'll get the grade I need. And so just come back here now to wherever you are, wherever you find yourself in the world, letting that breath expand you and letting it release. Noticing the sounds in your environment in this moment as you just continue to breathe. Stay with that breath. That is the most important thing for ascension, for transformation, for abundance. In through the nose. Long, slow exhale. Keeping it balanced, keeping it smooth. See if you can hear any birds. See if you hear any buzzing in the room. See if you feel any sensations. Use it all to bring you here to this moment now. And this breath that fills you, expands you, and reveals you to you. Whatever comes up, know that is for you. Like, don't run away from it. Don't try to manage it. Don't try to handle it or distract from it. Just be this breath, be this awareness, be this consciousness that you can feel the sensation and emotion, and yet this breath can still happen. This breath is always happening. Like your spirit, it's always there, ever present, perfect, all-knowing. It will solve whatever this is. It will soothe whatever's happening. The mind was just there to try to deal with it, to try to cope with it when we had no other options. We were stuck in certain situations. We didn't have a choice. But now we do. Now we're able to be with those parts. Now we're able to be that light, to be that love, to be that presence, liberating them and freeing them with each breath. Notice the mind try to fight a little bit for control of this. You need me. We need to figure this out. This is stupid. I'm wasting time. Like all the things it offers, just anything but to be here right now, breathing. It's going to try everything. And just come back to your breath. No big deal. Everyone is challenged by this. And everyone finds liberation through this. Stay with that breath. I'll tell you another animal story. We're breathing in through the nose, feeling that expansion. Out through the mouth or the nose, feel that release, play with the energy. You may start to get some tingling with this. You want to make sure you keep the shoulders relaxed too. It should be a relaxed, deep inhale, not forced, not trying to strain. So long ago, I had a cat, magical creature, for sure a galactic being, one of my greatest teachers. For every time I sat down to meditate, just as I'd close my eyes, it was playtime. She would run, jump on me, bat at the blinds continuously, and how frustrated I would get, how upset. How dare she do that? And other times it'd be like, what's wrong with India? Is there something wrong? Why is this happening? Shouldn't this be making things better? And same with the world right now. Why is this happening? Shouldn't things be better? And as you breathe that inhale, expanding into your own self, let go of even the concept of better, worse, and just see this is playing out for me. Like the cat playing with the blinds, like the news screaming about things we need to be upset about, the people telling you you need to be paying attention to this. You need to do something about this. And a part of you being in that place of I am doing something. Feel that breath come in and notice what happens in the body. This is a very different kind of guided meditation because we're working with just awareness, with presence. So always you should be breathing with this right now. Even if it's not the full 5 seconds, full exhale 5 seconds, but just stay tuned into the breath, because beyond even this breath is presence, is your spirit, is the one you are always. The one that knows this is all an illusion, it's all a game, and yet here you are. And be here now with whatever is coming up. Whatever part stepping forward that feels emotional, whatever thoughts that are coming that are working to protect you, don't judge those either. Just be like, wow, like, this is amazing how hard I'm working to like keep myself safe. Thank you. And then breathe that safety, breathe that abundance, breathe that shift and transformation while all that's happening. You become the still point, become the witness. And a part of you may be like, oh, I'm not doing it right. This is so irritating or hard. Recognize that part as well. That part that keeps you where you are, keeps you safe. The mind doesn't like too much change too fast. And then breathe. Let go. Acknowledging that part. And then choosing the breath, choosing the presence. Letting that part know that it was heard, it's acknowledged, and we're choosing to be here now, to be in the body, to choose spirit, to choose awareness with each breath. So the cat playing with the blinds, knocking things over, after a while became a practice. Each time, the sting, the irritation, the sensation through the body, hearing something get knocked over, that irritation became the impetus to go deeper. The awareness of, ooh, here I am. I'm not going out into the cosmos. I'm not going to some distant planet. I'm not going to a council of light beings. I'm right here in my body. And I'm bringing all that here, all that awareness, all that power to this point, this singularity, and this reality. My greatest adventure I've ever taken, to be on this planet at this time and to know what I know and be willing to learn even more. Feel that with the inhale, that part of you that knows, I chose this. This is amazing. This is the most amazing time to be alive right now. Anything I want to learn about, I can learn. Anything I want to experience, I can start to move towards. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but there's a step, there's a movement. And that movement right now is just this breath. Because always is the present, always is the now. If you truly believe that, that is what is most important. Not the plan for after this meditation, not what's going to happen next week with that event, not what was told to you 10, 20, 30 years ago. Right now is the moment that shifts everything. And as you practice this, as you work with this breathing, as you keep coming back to loving and accepting everything that is, choosing the breath, you'll notice more and more there will be transformations, there will be shifts, and the tendency of the mind to label it good or bad. But always things will move and shift, and always the opportunity to come back, to breathe, and enjoy this wonderful journey. For at some point it will be over, and you'll be in the infinite sea of love, peace, and joy again. And I'll be like, wow, that was amazing. I really got caught up in that. What if you could feel that, wow, that was amazing right now? And I know you have, and I know you do. And that's what this is about. Everything is for you, revealing you to you. And so come back to the awareness of the body, wiggling the toes, being able to come back to your physical interaction with all that's happening and transpiring in the world. Letting go of anything your mind goes to right now. Like, oh, I wonder what's going on with this, or oh, I wonder what's happening. Oh, what about this? Let go of all that in this moment, and then breathe again. Let go. And as you start to feel and sense your surroundings, like the walls in your room without opening your eyes, just sense with the body. Feel that breath again, keeping you in your body and able to sense what's around you. Notice what other thought comes in. Oh, I wonder what time it is. I wonder what's going on. And then breathe and be in the space of no time, where you can freeze time, where it can stop time, where you can reverse time, where you can go back, not with the mind, but with this presence. Lovingly acknowledge all with the breath, lovingly liberating it all with the feeling and transformation. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. You can look around your room a little bit. Just notice if you see any sparkles, notice what catches your eyes. And then use that breath again, feeling your feet too. Like as you breathe, feel your two big toes and curl them a little. See how you can look out, expand out, but still be in your body, still be rooted and grounded. As you're coming back, I'm going to pull an oracle card since I'll be speaking on the Dragon Thunder Summit next weekend. I'll pull a Dragon Oracle card, see what the dragons have to say. Dragons are such a key component of this shift and transformation we're going through. I wasn't aware of it fully, so I don't know, more recently, but I've always been with them. I've always called to them, and so many others are now too. where they really are like the divine energetic protectors of the earth, giving us the opportunity to expand beyond this old control and domination and manipulation, confusion that on a certain level we all agreed to, and those that are doing it are playing their role perfectly. And now we get to choose whether we feed it or whether we embrace, like I said, going within and seeing how it's for us, how it's an opportunity to work with it. And then when the time's right, it will transform. You may do it directly. Who's to say? That's the script. You get it right. That's the new earth. So, got the green gold dragon from Sirius. Brings universal knowledge to your spiritual pathway, which is an awesome card. I love gold and work with that energy. And the Syrian beings are the ones that worked with magic, black magic, manipulation, mind control, experts at that. And they evolved beyond that, just like we are. Where on this planet, there is a perfection of mind control. It's quite impressive. And so that's why I tell people not to watch the news and be careful of anybody that says they know what's happening or the way things are, because nobody can fully understand, myself included, what the enormity of this God love experience is. And yet there's those that can help guide and reveal. And often it's just perception, and that can come from anybody, and even from an oracle card. And I love this because it's basically showing, like I was talking about with the dragons, is protecting like the earth energetically. And I don't know if that's actually the planet Earth, kind of looks like it. But and that's the same thing we do with the breath. It even kind of looks like that energy of the breath, where when things come up, there's the opportunity to breathe with it, to hold it, not try to even cast it out or manage it or destroy it, but just like with a child, to be with it and breathe and allow whatever wants to be expressed. And this doesn't have to take that long. And sometimes for me, it took an hour. Sometimes, other times it took like 5 minutes, but it was the willingness to, like, if you have kids, you see how some days you can really be present with them and connect. And then other days it's like, it's a little more challenging. And that's what's happening internally for us at this time. And it's been ongoing, and everybody that's ever ascended has gone through this, where it's all about like loving everything, and especially what's inside of us, especially the feelings, especially the thoughts, the judgments, like loving it all, but not needing to accept it, not needing to make it right or prove it or disprove it, but be the witness of it. And then it starts to change and transform, and this divine wisdom comes through. And this is how the masters could interact with anybody, and how not anybody would come into their field even. Like people would be repelled from their field because of what they were embodied, because no longer were they holding certain energies of trauma and pain that was drawing those people in to trigger it so they could feel it and then release it. So even that served. So pretty soon no longer is that needed. And then like in Jesus's case, or Yeshua, that was part of his path or role to go through the experience he went through. If that actually even happened, who knows? So I want to save some time for everybody to jump on and share whatever came through. Just a couple things before I go. Yeah, I'll be speaking at the Dragon Thunder Summit. It's 30 live speakers this weekend. It's the English mystic. He's done a lot of work with dragons, and he's in the UK, and we have speakers from Australia and then in the US. So it's like this big, like 30-hour thing. I do it every year. It's a lot of fun, and check that out. I'm also looking for an artist, like a graphic artist, somebody that can help me with the oracle deck I'm creating. I was looking to use AI for the images, but the more I worked with it, I was like, I don't really like it. And I used ChatGPT here and there, and I was kind of leaning on a little too much. And then it was my opportunity to like, oh, come back to me and my voice. But it's so helpful for like my grammar and punctuation issues and things like proofreading and getting some ideas to organizing stuff, and then having to go like rewrite it a bit. But the images weren't really cutting it because the faces looked distorted, and I didn't want like distorted human images on like a Oracle deck. So if anybody knows an artist that would resonate with like a galactic portal realms type theme Oracle deck, please send them my way. Or if you're an artist, I'd love to connect with you and see if it's a good match. And I'm going to do a Galactic Breathing event soon locally and on the Big Island. So I'll keep you all posted. I'll send out an email on that. All right. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to stop the recording, and everyone that's here will have some time to share. Love you guys. Have a great month. Hope this was helpful. Aloha.